For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. This is the way. Greetings, Hakmoto community. This is Osker D. And I'm here today to share something with you guys. I was doing my administrative duties and checking through my emails, and I saw one that stuck out to me. And I felt like I had to come on here and address it properly. I'm not going to say who it was from, but we're going to get right into the situation. I want to make sure that I'm giving you guys, as titled, clarity and closure. So, this is in regards to the incident that happened last week where I had a gentleman to come on to the show and things kind of went left. So, in order to put this thing to bed, I have to be transparent about it and be completely honest. So, how this came about, man, I had been watching videos of this gentleman, Mr. Wilson, for months now. I was watching him and I was fascinated with his tactics. I saw him in a bunch of debates, and he was debating atheists and degenerates and people that claim the title Christian, but their whole belief system is full of fallacies that are totally blatantly against God's word, blatantly against Holy Scriptures. And I had become a fan of this guy's work. So my intentions were genuine in this. I had been watching him on one of his lives, and he was talking to a young man who's a Christian, and they were having a little debate about it, and the guy had a problem with him going on these other people's platforms that are not Christian platforms and saying that by going on those platforms, it's not helping, the body of Christ. And Mr. Wilson, was kind to the guy and everything, but he was telling him, hey, you have to go into the trenches. And I agree with that. You can't shy away from that. The degenerates are the ones that need to hear the message. They're the ones that need to hear the good news. So he was saying to the guy, he was like, man, I don't care how big or small your platform is. I have no problem with helping people out and doing what I can to help. We need you. And I was like, man, that's very kind to him. And light bulb went off in my head, and I had to think about it, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I should send this guy an email, because he seems, very, very down to earth, and like he's willing to work with us in some type of way. So me being the person that's part of the team that wants, I'm all about trying to create growth. Marketing. I came from that background with the entertainment, promoting myself, promoting things. So I'm just thinking this would be a great thing, for this guy to come and teach this message, that is, because I'm hearing this guy talk about the nuclear family, how, really talking about how we need to do things as far as what God says. And I'm like, wow, he could come on if he's willing and share that information. And that could be the start of something great. So I sent him an email, and nice long email, and I prayed about it, and I was like, hopefully he'll respond. I really didn't get a response, but I realized he's busy. He was touring, he was going around from show to show, and I saw him live again, and someone in his comments were saying that they wanted him to come on their podcast, and he was like, well, you can just send me a tweet. So the light bulb went off again, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna send this guy a tweet. So I sent him a tweet, same information from the email. I just copied and pasted it because it was the same message. And he responded the next morning. And he was like, man, I'd be glad to do that. Like, and I'm like, wow, man, this is such a blessing. I'm all excited and everything. I'm like, man, this guy, I'm telling my wife I'm so excited about it. And I tell Doc about it, and Doc doesn't know him at all. So, but Doc trusts me, and so he's like, fired up, let's do it, man. Doc is very down to earth and easy going, like great human being. And so I'm getting it all set up. I'm thinking, I'm like, you know, when can we make this happen? So I talked to Mr. Wilson, and he says that, he was busy at the time, but he said, contact me next week after I get back from doing it, and we can set something up. So I contact him. I give him a chance. We were talking a little bit back and forth. Very, very kind in the messaging and everything. It was great. And all of a sudden, you know, it he contacts me, and he's like, "Are you available tonight?" And it kind of caught me off guard, but I'm like panicking. I'm like, "Oh my goodness, let me get in contact with Doc." So I contact Doc, and I'm like, "Hey man, he wants to know if we can just pod with him tonight, man." And Doc was like, "Man, I'm actually headed out of town. I got to do something with the wife." And I'm like, "Oh man." So I'm like, I reached back to Mr. Wilson, and I'm like, "Hey man, is there any way we can do it tomorrow?" And Mr. Wilson, just being honest, he's like, "Man, my schedule is pretty busy. I got a lot of people that I'm booking with, and I just wanted to make sure I got you guys out of the way. Make sure I take care of you guys because I got a lot of people." And I'm like, "Wow, man," but I'm pressured because I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I reached back out to Doc, and Doc's like, "Hey man, hold it down." He was like, "You can do it." He was like, "Man, do it," because I didn't want to, because I wanted him to be a part of it. But I was like, okay. And so I reached back to him, and I was like, "Yeah, you know, it'll just be me and you, and so he was like, okay, cool. What time?" And I told him what time it was, and I set up the thing and sent him the link, and I remember about an hour before um we went live, he was live, and he was talking to his audience, and he was telling them, "Yeah, I'm about to be out of here in about 45 minutes. I got some people's podcast I need to go on. Um I don't know who they are, but I'm interested in seeing what they got to say." And like it was real cool. He was promoting it, you know, and I'm like, "Wow, man, I'm nervous. I'm nervous because I'm, you know, I'm a fan. I was a fan of what he was doing, man. Like, and I'll get more into it in a moment, but yeah, so it comes down the countdown, and man, I'm sitting here, and he pops up, and I'm so used to people flaking. He didn't flake at all. He came in, and he was like, "Hey man, he was telling me on here, he was like, just take me off stage, and when you're ready, bring me back." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." Like, I'm sitting here, and I'm like, I'm live on here and I'm trying to get it together, and I'm like, man, I'm nervous. But I had a few questions I wanted to ask him. But my intention, honestly, was to just have him come on here and talk. I just wanted him to pretty much say who he is, what his mission is, and give some wisdom. That's all. And that's what I told him. I wanted him to come on and share wisdom, with us. That's all I asked. I didn't. It wasn't supposed to be a like an interview or anything. It was just he's gonna come on and talk. And yeah, I had a few questions for him, and I asked those questions. Just basic. Who are you? What do you plan on doing? I admired the how he and his wife operates, because she's a really great debater, and like they stand united with their views, and I admired that. And so we start getting into the show, and everything's cool. Everything's cool. And like I said, my intentions was just to have him come on and share some game, share some wisdom, man. Because I'm like, man, this guy's really out here in the trenches doing this thing, and I'm like, I wanted to see if we could coexist. So what happened is over time, I guess his audience, because he told me, he was like, I'm gonna have you live on my show. I'm gonna have the show live on my channel, so that they can watch and listen. Because that's what he usually does. He'll have the people on his channel while he's on their stuff. So I mean, it helps out the audience. It helps the other people out, because you're like he's sharing his audience with you, and that can give you a lot of notoriety, at the end of the day. But I guess they kind of got bored with it, because they're so used to, if you look at his interviews, he doesn't have interviews like what we were having. It's usually somebody on there that doesn't agree with anything that he believes. And usually those are people that want to be contentious with him. They want to debate him. They want to try to make him look bad. That was not my thing at all. I'm trying to get wisdom. So I guess they got a little bored with it. So they decided they wanted to start sending like super chats to him. And he was like, is it okay if I read? Because he was like, I got a few super chats directed at you. So he said it on there. He was like, he read one where they were pretty much saying this is boring, and they want to see pretty much blood, because he's a blood sport debater. So they wanted him to rip me apart. Pretty much. They wanted it to be a contention between us. So, he was saying, he was like, man, we having a nice conversation. This is a chill day, and this and that. And I'm in my mind, and I'm thinking, I'm like, thank goodness, because I'm no debater, and I'm not in the condition to debate. I mean, what is it to really debate about at the moment? Not what my mind is. So I noticed all of a sudden, because he's very intelligent. Very intelligent. So instead of just going for the jugular, he just starts to question me. And it's cool. It just caught me off guard. If anybody was supposed to be conducting an interview, it would have been me. But that isn't even what I was intending to do. But he starts questioning me and digging and pushing me. And I'll be honest, he wasn't pushing hard, because I've seen him go and just destroy people. He didn't do that. He didn't viciously attack me, but he used subtle tactics. He's been doing this for a long time. He's great at it. So he knew exactly how to deal with me. He could tell, yeah, this guy's a little naive. He seems to be fascinated with what I do. He's complimenting me. He's complimented me like 5 times since we've been on here. Oh yeah, I got him. Yeah, he's an idiot. Yeah, I'm about to press him. I'm about to make him sweat. So he started questioning me, and I had no answers because honestly, I was caught off guard. That caught me off guard because it's like, wow, man, I just wanted to get some wisdom from you, and now you challenging my whole belief. Like you're asking me, how do I know that God exists? Hmm? And I'm in my mind, I'm like, whoa, oh, how did we get here? Like what? So I'm just being blindsided by all these questions, and I'm just not answering them. I'm just not able to get my feet planted at all. I'm just getting destroyed here, just gently destroyed. I have no answers. I'm stumbling over my words, and this is the reason why. This is the main reason why I'm doing this video. I had someone email, and when I read it, it cut me to the heart with conviction because they were absolutely right. But I have to explain why. They were like, well, I I felt uncomfortable because it was so much profanity being used by Mr. Wilson, and Oscar was just laughing, and like, you know, it was like he didn't why didn't he check that. Well, let me explain to you why I didn't play language police. For one, I just did not want a conflict. That wasn't what I was here for. And it's difficult to try to tell an adult that knows better how to talk. Now, watching his content, he uses a lot of profanity, but I gave him too much credit. I didn't think he'd come on here and do that. Most of the time, when what he's on, what I've seen him on, is not Christian based programming. So everybody on there, they just use profanity anyway. I figured that maybe he would have enough respect, even though he doesn't know us. I figured he'd have enough respect for us to not come on here and use f bombs and all type of profane language. But he didn't, and I allowed it on my watch, and I apologize to you guys that had to listen to that. Trust me, I wasn't comfortable with it either. The reason why I was actually laughing was to mask the discomfort and the disappointment, and also a little bit of anger, because I felt like I allowed this man to come in my house, and I asked him to take his shoes off at the door. He didn't, and he took his muddy shoes and just grinded them in my couch, like Rick James. You know, that's how it felt. But I had to do. I had to take look at the bigger picture and not cause conflict. And I had to control myself. I really had to maintain my composure because people that actually know me personally and know my past, they know that that would have been a different situation. I definitely would have tried to language police him, and it would have turned into something that would have been very, very, very bad, reflecting on this programming. Thank God Almighty that He has delivered me from that, and He has brought me peace. But that's what it took. I really had to maintain my composure. And throughout that, some compelled me to some said, just allow him to be exposed. Just allow him to do that. Allow him to show not only his audience, but our audience and anybody else that can watch, that they can see that this is someone that calls themselves a Christian and how they conduct themselves. And I've never intended to attack him, and I'm not attacking him now. I mean, we all sin. We're all sinful by nature. This flesh wicked. Whose flesh isn't wicked? But there's a certain way that you must conduct yourself and call yourself a Christian. And that's a fact. And it's in scripture. I wasn't about to argue with him. I'm not doing any arguing. I just don't have it in me. And I just didn't want to be contentious at all in any fashion. I didn't want to get those people what they wanted, because that's what they wanted to see. I didn't want to put on a show. I didn't want it to be clips so they can be put out to say, well, look at this idiot acting out this way with him, and he's just mad because of this. No, I'm not doing that. And I have to take accountability and say that, yeah, me being naive and wanting it to be something great, and that's on me. That's on me. And again, I apologize for you guys having to bear witness to that atrocity. I left that we can call it an interview now. I left that situation after we got off. I had this glooming feeling of disappointment. It was just lingering, the gloom on me. I felt very disappointed. I felt embarrassed. I looked like a complete idiot, and I thank God that some of you guys were able to see and say, well, you handled yourself well. Yeah, it's just disappointing when you think about what could have been done different. And it was so many things that I could have done different. And for a minute, I wished I could have gotten that time back, but you can't. You had to move forward. And I have to say this, saying all this, I'm not upset with that man. He was pretty upset with the outcome, because after Doc saw it, because after it was over, I messaged Doc and I said, man, I got my behind handed to me on this thing. He was like, what? And I was like, yeah, man. He started kind of poking at me, and I wasn't able to defend myself in any type of way. I looked like a fool on here. And he was like, okay, let me take a look at it. So he looked at it, and he wasn't happy with that. He saw something, and that's when he felt like he wasn't angry. He wasn't angry with Mr. Wilson, and he's still not angry with him. But he felt like the things that were being said was false. It was against our belief. I couldn't defend it, but he can. And that's why he issued the challenge. And one thing led to another, and people started attacking, and we started discussing it on the following day. And of course, people, I guess, that came over, they came in and they told him, and he jumped in the comments, but by that time Mr. Wilson was being very disrespectful, name calling and all that stuff. So it just escalated into something that it shouldn't have been. And since then we're just, honestly, we're dusting our feet off and moving forward. So I just wanted to let you guys know, what really happened. It wasn't any type of setup. It definitely wasn't on our end, and I don't believe that he doesn't even know us. So why would he set us up? So I don't think it was a setup. I think it was a big misunderstanding. But at the same time, there's a way that we should conduct ourselves. And as one that says that they are a Christian, man, we have to conduct ourselves better. We cannot have a foul, potty mouth and be nasty towards people and just calling all type of vicious names when you have no evidence of certain things. Like you can't do that, man. But at the end of the day, the weight has been taken off of me. That gloomy feeling. God is so good, guys. God is so wonderful. And blessings are just coming. And the Lord is going to continue to bless us as long as we seek his face. I think I've said enough. And until next time, guys. Matter of fact, we'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.